I wanted to do a short video tutorials on two problems that we didn't get a chance to quite finish in class, to help you with some of those problems on your Delta Math homework. So here is an example. So we're going to apply these properties, these rules to expand this log problem here. So there are three logarithm expressions I can see here. Each variable will have its own log expression. There's a log expression involving x, y, and z. So we're going to have three log expressions. Two of them, these two up here, involve multiplication, which together they involve division. So we're going to use both this division first, and then we're going to apply the multiplication, the product property next. All right, the most important thing to remember is that whenever you see a root, like a square root of something, let's say square root of x, in order to apply the log property, you need to be able to change this to look like a rational exponent. You have to recall that this is exactly x to the power of 1/2. And if you have a cube root of x, it is really x to the power of 1/3. You're going to run across this kind of expressions whenever you are expanding or condensing logarithms. So let's say there's a power involved, like a square root of x to the 5th, for example. You're going to remember that this can be written like this, like there's a square root, so like a square root, and then there's a power. So which, if you multiply the 1/2 with the 5, you get x to the power of 5 halves. Let's do one more recalling. So let's say you have x cube root of x squared. So that means you're going to have a cube root involved. As a cube root is 1/3. And then there's a squaring involved with a square over here. So when you multiply these two, you get 2/3, x to the power of 2/3. So generally, you need to recall these basic thing that we learned way back, okay? And we're going to apply it in this problem here. So the way to go about it is to, first of all, consider that this is, first of all, a division problem. And then inside of it is multiplication. All right. So we first look at the division as a whole. So it's going to look like this, as log of something minus log of another thing. All right. Now those things are, this stuff up here will be the top, right? The numerator, and it's going to go right here, and the denominator, this stuff right here, is going to go right here because of the division that is involved, this division right here that is involved. All right, so once you're able to break it into two big logarithm like that, like it's going to be z squared and y to the 5th, and then this will be the cube root of x squared. All right, so now we are going to look to see if you can actually break it down further. So look over here to the left side. This is like a product. If I put a product symbol there, I can actually break this up into logarithm of z squared and then plus logarithm of y to the 5th. We're using the rule, this rule number 1 here. Okay, we're using that rule right here. And then we can say minus. We have to be careful whenever we do minus. If it's more than one thing, one quantity there, we have to use, if this has more than one quantity, we have to use parentheses. But it's only one quantity, x squared. So there's no need for parentheses. So we're just going to keep it as, but we're going to change this expression inside using rational exponent. I've actually done the work here for you right down here. If you look at it very well, you can see I'm circling around it. This is the cube root of x squared, can actually be written as s to the power of 2/3. So I'm going to replace that with log of x to the power of 2/3. Okay, we're almost done. What we need to do now is to apply rule number 3. This is rule number 2, rule number 3. We're going to apply this rule to bring the exponent to the front of each log. So we're going to do that. So there's an exponent 2 here. It's going to come to the front of this log. There's an exponent 5 here. It's going to come to the front of this log. There's an exponent 2/3 here. It's going to come to the front of this log. And then will be fully expanded. Okay, let's do that. So this will be 2 log z plus 5 log y minus 2/3 log x. There is nothing to expand. We are done with that expansion, and that is the answer to the full expansion of this problem. The second and last problem I want to show you will be this one that has, it's a similar structure to that first one. You can see sort of like the overall make of the problem is a quotient. Okay, there's a numerator. There's a numerator. Okay, one second. It's a numerator here, and then there's a denominator, and then the numerator itself has 2 quantities there that are multiplying each other. So you can guess already that we are going to apply the product property to this and to this after we have separated it. Okay, let's go ahead and separate them. First of all, using the division or quotient property. Okay, so I'm going to keep that as log, and then there's a quantity minus another log quantity. Okay, this top quantity is coming in here, z to the 5th, y to the 3rd, and then this is x to the 4th, and then there's the square root over this. I need to rewrite it. There's the square root over that. Okay, so we're almost ready to expand it further. So what we need to do now is to separate this one product using the product property like this. Log of z to the 5th plus log of y cubed. Now minus the log of x to the 4th. Now, remember I told you, sorry, there's a square root here. Almost forgot that. We can actually simplify this or rewrite this square root of x to the 5th using the properties of a rational exponent like this. There's a root involved, so there's going to be x to 1/2, and there's a power involved, that's a 5. So that will lead us to x to, if you multiply these two together, 5 times 1 is 5, and there's a 2 as the denominator. All right. So that is x to the power of 5 over 2. So it's going to be log of x to the power of 5 over 2 plus the log of y cubed minus the log of x to the 4th. So now we just need to apply rule number 3 and move each of the exponent to the front. So it will be like 5/2 log of x plus 3 log of y minus 4 log of x. We are pretty done with this expansion, how to expand. Now, let's say I give you I give you an expression now to condense it. So let's say I gave you x to the power of 6 log of x to the power of 6x to the power of 6 log x plus 3 log y, and I ask you to condense this. Okay, so what you're trying to do is to get only one log. All right, and you can see it's a sum, so you need to have only one log. in which you're going to have something multiplied by something. All right, but we need to first get this 6 back to the exponent like this before we can do anything, because it's in log. The rules say you say log A times B equals log A plus B plus log B rather. Okay, so you're going to recognize that we need to have the log by itself without any coefficient, so to say. The same thing here, we need to get this 3 over here, so it will be plus log y to the third. So now it's in the log form now, without any number multiplying it. So we're ready to combine it right now. We're going to combine the x to the 6th and y to the third. So it will be x to the 6th times y to the third. Basically, to condense is easier to do, in my opinion. So that's why I'm not spending too much time on it, because you can just see it's easier to just combine the things around. It's not really too hard. If it was a minus right here in between them, you just divide them. So I hope this is going to be helpful for you to do your homework.